The wait is officially over. The 2025 SEC baseball season is officially upon us with opening day less than 24 hours away. We are here previewing, predicting, breaking down everything opening weekend in the SEC and college baseball. I am Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant. This is the WINDUP, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. We can appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bet today. And remember, FANDUEL, the official partner and presenting sponsor of the SEC Unfiltered Tour, which is sending us to Arlington, Texas this weekend to take in the Shriners Children's College Showdown to kick off the 2025 college baseball season. Once again, this is the WINDUP, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. I am Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant, joining me once again. Harrison, the wait is officially over. We have finally made it. Opening day is upon us. Dude, I've got the bat in the studio for those that can't see it. I've got the ball in the studio for those that can't see it, the SEC ball. I've got my sparkling water with the Chinook koozie. I'm ready, man. I'm ready. We finally made it. It's opening day. It's opening day, man. The road to Omaha officially begins now. What's up, man?
We're here, locked and loaded. The season's 24 hours away, it feels like. I think it's about 24 hours exactly, maybe minus 5 minutes.
A little bit less. Yeah. We're going to talk about it in a second. We got some double headers already. We haven't even played a game. And we got rain out, rain baseball delays, and yeah. So we got baseball in the morning tomorrow. Of course, we're recording this on Thursday, but yeah, man, we made it. I mean, it's here. We've been talking about it for so long, looking forward to it. We've been counting it down for months, and man, first pitch is upon us. I'm fired up. I'm so excited. This is excited as I've been all preseason. We've had some really fun shows with the Omaha 8s and the predictions, but man, to actually get some baseball played on the diamond, our questions start to be answered, man. And again, that road to Omaha begins, man. So many great storylines, and I know you guys tuning in are excited as well, Harrison. I'm excited to be with you, man. We're going to have a great season.
Talk about Omaha, and we're going to blink. Conference is going to be here, and it's just going to be an absolute bloodbath in the SEC, the gauntlet that it is. And we're going to blink. Again, it's going to be SEC tournament. We'll be in Hoover. We'll be getting everything in Hoover and doing everything we can there, the full experience. And then we're going to look, and we're going to be jumping on a flight to Omaha. And I'm so excited for it, but we're going to brace every single weekend of it, Chris, and every part of it. And I'm excited to do it with you again this year.
Yeah, let's not rush the season, man. We got plenty of baseball obviously coming up. For those in the live chat, yes, I am wearing a Shania Twain t-shirt. For those that can't see it, the drippiest man in sports media. You know you love it. You know you embrace it. Harrison, let's go ahead and jump right into it again. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to get into. Before we do, our friend Double D with the super chat. Thank you, Double D. Go Horns. Excited for baseball season. Thank you. And, guys, we will be getting to your questions for those tuned in live. Around end of show. We'll get to all your questions, so keep them coming. Harrison, again, let's go ahead and jump into it. We got a lot of baseball to discuss. Let's call it for what it is. Opening weekend, a lot of non-conference series, a lot of series that are very ho-hum. You know, we're not going to spend 30 minutes breaking down LSU, Purdue, Fort Wayne. Sorry to my friend Blake who's tuned in, but we kind of know what to expect. We'll get to those in a little bit. Harrison, let's start with the big one. The one that we're going to be at, the one we are going to be locked in on, that is the Shriners Children's College Showdown in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life. Again, the home of the Texas Rangers. It is going to be an absolute scene. The field, you've got, of course, from the SEC, Jim Schlossnagel's tenure begins, Harrison. The Texas Longhorns in the field. You know they're going to travel really, really well. That place is going to be painted burnt orange, I think, all weekend. You got Texas. You've got Ole Miss. Big year for Mike Bianco begins. And then you've got Arizona, really good club. Clemson, really good club. Oklahoma State, we know what they are on a year-in, year-out basis. And Louisville, a team that a lot of folks have high expectations for in the ACC. As you look at the schedule, Harrison, I'll run through this really quickly. Of course, Clemson Okie State going to kick it off 11 a.m. local time. Eric Bakich, by the way, suspended for that game, if you recall, because of the Super Regionals, which is just a funny fact.
No worth it, though. We were there live watching it, and, I mean, talk about getting the crowd riled up and into the game. I mean, one of the most electric games that I've seen ever in person on the college level, and, I mean, it just primed us for Omaha, but that was just such a cool moment to see your coach go out and do that after. Didn't former head coach as well, Jack, I can't remember his last name, get thrown out.
Jack Leggett
get thrown out as well. And to go to do that, Chris, you can relate to this as a Braves fan. That just looked like Bobby Cox marching out there to the umpires with everyone knows he's not coming back until he gets thrown out. And just everyone gets on their feet, starts cheering. And that's how you get just another level of pride in a school, in a team, in just home field advantage. That just erupted Clemson Stadium. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was awesome. Again, Eric Bakich gained a lot of points with me on that day.
Absolutely.
The two SEC games on Friday, though, Harrison. Ole Miss and Arizona at 3 o'clock. Texas and Louisville, the nightcap at 7. I'm going to run through the rest of the schedule, and then we'll give our full thoughts on this. Saturday, you've got Clemson and Arizona getting going at 11 a.m. Louisville, Okie State at 3. Texas and Ole Miss on Saturday night. Going to be an electric factory, 7 o'clock local time pitch. And then Sunday, Louisville, Arizona, the 11 a.m. game. Ole Miss and Clemson, that'll be fun. Big opportunity for Mike Bianco's squad at 2:30. And then Texas, Oklahoma State at 6:30 to close it out. Yours truly not flying back till Monday, of course, so we can take in all of the baseball. Harrison, your thoughts on the schedule, your thoughts on the weekend ahead for Texas and Ole Miss. We know the starting rotations for both of these teams. Ole Miss is going to go Hunter Elliott, who was such a big piece in that 2022 team. Stoked to see him pitch. So we'll go Elliott game 1, Riley Maddox game 2, Mason Nichols game 3. Texas going to go Jared Spencer game 1, Luke Harrison game 2, and TBD in game 3. But you know the schedule, you know the field. What are you most excited to see from Texas and Ole Miss specifically? Big opportunity and a big-time series for both those teams.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, I'm excited. I think this is a great way to kick off the college baseball season, especially with powerhouse programs like Clemson and Oklahoma State. I mean, that's just two postseason programs to kick it off. I'm glad it's set up that way. But I got to gripe, Chris. How is Texas not playing Clemson in this? Why are they playing Ole Miss?
I love they're playing Ole Miss. I would rather them play Clemson than Louisville, though, to your point.
That's fair. But I'd rather them – They should
have got Clemson on there. They should have made a way to make that work.
Yeah,
found a way to make that work.
I mean, it's just like what are we doing? I mean, or Arizona even. I mean, I'd rather them play. You know, Arizona's a really good postseason team. Louisville's really good too. But I don't know. I thought it'd been really cool to see that. Other than that, love the matchups and everything. I love the teams in this because you get a lot of pedigree programs that are hungry in just postseason caliber teams. Right? Every one of these teams in there is a postseason caliber team. I think. I mean, Ole Miss is probably the least of them, but they can have a surprising season. We've seen Mike Bianco and co do it before. I mean, 2022, last 4 in, last one out, and they won the national championship. What a season that was. But, I mean, I'm excited for this. You get Texas joining the SEC. I think this is a statement weekend for them, not only to represent the SEC, but to represent what Texas is as a baseball brand under Jim Schlossnagle this year and going forward. And they want to make a statement in Globe Life Field, the Texas Rangers home ballpark in the great state of Texas. Still haven't been, but we're making that happen this year, of course. And just, I think it's a statement piece that they get a night game on Friday, they get a night game on Saturday, and a night game on Sunday. I mean, that's got to say something for the Longhorns for sure, Chris.
Yeah, it's, these opening weekends or these tournaments, if you will, first month of the season, to your point, Harrison, it's a big opportunity. I think for both Texas and Ole Miss, I'll start with Ole Miss. And it's one weekend, right? We don't want to overstate what it means. It is one weekend. There's in a 56 or 60, what have you, game season. But I do think it's important for Ole Miss. I mean, this is a program and a fan base that's really hungry for some signs of optimism. Nobody's really given them much of a chance this season. And I mean, after back-to-back seasons of winning less than 30 games or so, missing the postseason, it's fair right now. I think that the chatter around them and the expectations. But again, we know this is a very proud program. They expect to win. Mike Bianco is one of the best in the conference. I want to see really how they swing it this weekend. I'm so excited to watch Hunter Elliott in person. such a long layoff for him because of the
Yeah.
injuries. He had TJ at a weird time. He was such a key piece in that 2022 national title run. But I want to see how they swing it. I think there's a lot of unknowns for me when it comes to this Ole Miss roster and just kind of what they're going to be. And that's, we could talk about that for the entire SEC. Early on in the season, coaches are going to be figuring out, who's your best 9, who are my role guys, who can I bring in the 7th with 2 outs to get a ground ball, who can I bring in the 8th, the 9th, big-time leverage guys. And, I mean, there's nowhere to hide, right? You're playing the best of the best. I mean, you look at the names in this field, teams that are realistic Omaha contenders, there's many of them. I mean, you could argue, Harrison, Ole Miss is the worst team in this field. And that kind of says a lot because Ole Miss still has SEC talent. But I think it's a big tone-setting weekend for them. I'm not saying if you go 2-1 or even 3-0, it's a guarantee of anything. But I think after back-to-back poor seasons, Mike Bianco goes out, hires a pitching coach. He's made some changes. Just getting off to a good start, I think, would be so critical for them. And then from the Texas perspective, I just want to see how they pitch. I know they're going to hit. I know they're going to hit. I feel really confident they're going to swing the bat well. Dude, they're going to be juiced up. They're going to be energized. They're essentially playing. It's going to be essentially a Texas home game, I think, all 3 nights. I mean, because Texas fans, they're fired up. They're going to travel.
They're going to tailgate.
They're going to tailgate. We're going to be out there with them tailgating. It's going to be a good time.
Hey, Chris, not all of us will be out there tailgating because, I haven't been to Texas, but I have been to the Louvre, apparently, according to Chinook Seedery. As you can see by my display back here. I've been to the Louvre, but I have not been to Texas. Not yet. I mean, the Louvre is a big draw, but so does Globe Life. I mean, playing at a ballpark like that, Chris, is got to be such a cool experience for players because a lot of these players are going to be professional players, in the future. And this is just a taste of that. And honestly, a really good taste for Texas of playing in the SEC, right? And to speak on Ole Miss, Hunter Elliott, I'm excited to see him back. I mean, he has just filthy stuff, and we've seen it before, obviously fighting off injuries the last 2 seasons. But, I mean, I've been expecting a big bounce-back season for him, a veteran in that clubhouse, a leader in the locker room. I mean, mid-90s heater, and he's got just an incredibly deep changeup, 60% whiff rate on that. I mean, he says he feels the best he's ever been. His fastball's at a higher point than it's ever been in his career at Ole Miss. So excited to see that. When you say Texas is going to hit, I'm worried if they're going to get out to a slow start or not. I'm really curious about that. I mean, I think people are overselling maybe a little bit how much hype this offense has. I think it's upper middle of the pack. They got to show me a lot. I think they really do. I mean, they got a lot of talent on there. You talk about Max Ballou, Jaden Flores. I mean, then you got the freshmen that just went off in their alumni game and hit an absolute nuke, right? But I'm excited to see the pitching side more and seeing what Max Wiener, the arm farm, one of the best pitching coaches in the country. He proved it last year at A&M, what he did with that staff. I'm excited to see what he can do in year 1 in less than a year, honestly, Chris, with the arms that they have in Austin and see what that looks like throughout the season as well. Because I think that's going to be such an interesting and fascinating underlying storyline for Texas as well, Chris.
Yeah, again, you mentioned Max Wiener and the job he did at Texas A&M, and you think back to 2023 and what the A&M pitching staff was, and obviously 2024, the big turnaround. It's Max Wiener. I guess this season will prove if he's a bit of a miracle worker or not, because if they're up in the top 2 or 3 in ERA, it's like, man, this dude is just a wizard.
I think even top 5, Chris, would be a well-done season for sure.
It'd show he's a wizard with pitchers, but no, I mean, listen, getting a look at the guys, I think Max Wiener's a great pitching coach, but you got to have dudes with stuff. And I think we'll find out this weekend if they've got dudes with stuff. I think it'll be pretty evident. Listen, you're asking guys that are transfers from Indiana State and UTSA and some others to step in and be big-time dudes. We're going to find out immediately how it plays against some pretty quality lineups. I mean, Louisville, Ole Miss, Okie State's going to swing the shit out of it. We know they do that every year. So I'm excited to get that glimpse. Again, it's just one weekend. You're not going to draw insane conclusions, but I think it's going to give you a pretty good indication, like, okay, I mean, is this going to be a problem all year? Is Texas going to have to, outscore their opponents, outslug guys? And if they do, will they be able to do it? So I'm excited to get a look at that pitching staff.
Yeah.
Again, I do believe in Max Wiener, they'll be better. But just what kind of stuff do the guys have? That's what I'm curious to see. Does he have the horses he needs in the stable to field a competent pitching staff to complement the offense?
Yeah, and Chris, to speak more about Ole Miss's offense too, because you're talking about offenses, right? With Texas's, I'm excited to see the transfers that they have, the sluggers that have come in and filled in the outfield. Mitch Sanford from UNO, that's University of New Orleans. He got a 381, Chris, 15 home runs, 67 RBIs. Southland Player of the Year. I mean, he started at LSU before going there for 2 years, but he's a toolsy guy with the ability to hit for power and average, plus runner, great arm. And then you have Isaac Humphrey, transferred to Ole Miss from Louisville. Ole Miss and Louisville don't get to play, though, here, right? But he batted 310, 10 home runs, 39 RBIs. He's a really mature player with a lot of upside. I think he'll be a big bat in that Ole Miss lineup, and I'm excited to see how he transitions, as well as Mitch Sanford. But, I mean, we talked about it before. Ole Miss added a lot of depth in the defense and at the catcher position specifically because they were brutal last season. I mean, you added Austin Foley from Kentucky and Colin Reuter from BYU. They got a lot of holes to fix there, and they've got talent to do so. You've got a good mix of young and old guys, a couple of transfers. And, the biggest thing, I know Riley Maddox and Hunter Elliott are both coming back, have battled their fair share of injuries. And Riley Maddox was also a big piece of that 2022 national championship team. You got veterans on the mound, Chris. I think that's so important in the SEC. You got guys that have been there, done that on a championship team. I mean, talk about helping lead the young guys in the bullpen. I think that's going to play really good for Mike Bianco this season. And I mean, we talked about before, Mike Bianco, they need a really good season in Ole Miss and Oxford. And I mean, the Swayze Crazies are, they're definitely desperate for it, Chris. They want to get back to Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've talked with different folks around Oxford about this season. Some folks don't believe it's a make or break for Mike Bianco. I tend to disagree.
You say he's one of he says he's one of the best coaches around, but then you put him kind of middle tier in your SEC rankings, Chris.
Back-to-back bad seasons will do it. I mean, and then even the year, and I'm taking nothing away, but even the year that you won the national title, I mean, you weren't good that year either in the regular season, and you snuck in, and I mean, who cares? You win it all, but it just doesn't feel like it's. And this year will tell. Will it get back on a positive trajectory? That's the key of this season. It's just trending the wrong way, and if it continues to trend the wrong way, how long can you go? You know what I mean? How many bad seasons in a row will it take before you make a move? I want to say this, Harrison, too. I think the opportunity this weekend from the standpoint of, we're going to talk about for all these coaches, it's you're going to be putting, especially like the transfers too, right? Even if they're veterans, this is new for them. This is welcome to the SEC. This is the big leagues of college baseball, essentially. We're putting you in some high leverage situations. These dudes are taking the field, taking the mound, what have you, taking the box at a pro stadium, the Rangers. I mean, it don't get much more high leverage on opening weekend than what you're going to see this weekend at Globe Life, which, again, for these coaches, man, is such a luxury. It's like, all right, we're going to find out if, you've been really good in scrimmages and you were good in fall ball, but when we put you in, do you piss down your leg in front of a crowd? Like, we're going to really start to find out who are the guys that we can depend on, who are the guys that are consistent, who are the guys that we can rely on in regards to, we got a one out runner on second. Can he get him to third, or can he get a bunt down, or can he drive that guy in from third with less than 2 outs? Can he throw that big pitch and get that ground ball? Like, we're really going to find out in a high leverage situations, what these guys can do. Again, I know all these coaches for all these teams are really excited about that because, you don't get that as much in some of these smaller non-conference series, right? You try to simulate as much as you can, but it's just different, and it's going to be different. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a high-intensity feeling there at this tournament. That's the thing probably I'm most excited about above all else, Harrison, is just it's going to have almost kind of a postseason feel on opening weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about playing in a ballpark like Globe Life, a major league ballpark. I mean, Jared Spencer's starting game one, opening day for Texas in the night game against a good Louisville team, right? A postseason caliber team. He started at Indiana State. You're going from Indiana State, where he's shoved, first off.
All due respect to the Sycamores, but you make a valid point.
6-0, just over a smidge over 4 ERA and 18 appearances, 9 starts, 72 strikeouts, 53 innings. You're going from there to pitching in the Texas Rangers ballpark on opening day for a program like the Texas Longhorns. I mean, the magnitude of that, we're going to know real quick what he's made and the stuff that he is and how much he's grown, I think. But then, Luke Harrison, a veteran, junior, a redshirt junior lefty coming in the next day for Texas. I think it's a really good spot for him. But then, you talk about, we don't know who's going to pitch Sunday for them. You got Cade Bling. He's a JUCO transfer from McLennan Community College. And then closing role too is Ruger Rio from UTSA. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are
a lot of new faces in the pitching staff.
Yeah,
lot of new faces.
Go from Indiana State to playing at a major league ballpark, and then UTSA and McLennan Community College to playing at a major league ballpark. You're going to know what these guys are made of real quick. And I think it's going to be a really good taste for them of postseason baseball and playing in the SEC.
So, Harrison, let's lock in some predictions for the weekend. Not asking to go game by game, obviously, just how you think they'll fare. And I know it's really tough to predict, but that's what we're going to do. Anyways, I'll start, man. I've got Texas going 2-1 on the weekend. I got Ole Miss going 1-2. I think that this is going to be a really super competitive weekend, so I don't see either team going 3-0 or 0-3. I think Texas drops one, probably either to Louisville or Oklahoma State, just because I could see them getting outslugged. Especially Oklahoma State. With TBD, we always know Okie State's going to swing it. They hit bombs, dude. And how the ballpark plays, it'll be really interesting. I'm not quite as familiar. I know you're a big-time MLB guy here, so I'm not quite as familiar with Globe Life. Is it more of a pitcher's park, hitter's park?
What are we? It's pretty evenly balanced.
Pretty even, okay. It's pretty balanced.
Something like Fenway, or Yankee Stadium.
Right. Nothing outrageous. Okay. So anyways, I think Texas 2-1, which I think is fair and will be a solid weekend. Ole Miss, like I said, man, they might be the worst team in this tournament. I mean, they're taking on an Arizona team that you realistically can pick to go to Omaha. They're taking on Texas, who I think Texas is better than Ole Miss right now. And then taking on Clemson, who we both got going to Omaha. So your thoughts on the weekend, how do you see Texas, Ole Miss faring in Arlington?
Yeah, Chris. I mean, I hate to be the same, but I got them both going 2-1. I don't know who Texas is going to lose to. I think it's either going to be Louisville or Oklahoma State. I just think depending on how good Jared Spencer does in his start, I think is going to be the key for that. Just maybe some jitters there. I'm curious to see that. That's going to be super interesting to watch that game. I mean, let alone, opening day as a whole. And then Ole Miss 2-0, I think 1-2, actually. I think they lose to Clemson for sure. Texas, I think they, go up maybe early and then end up losing, but I think they beat Arizona, which is a really good ball club. But I think that's going to be what happens.
Hunter Elliott's return, baby. Hunter Elliott. I wonder what the leash is on him, if there is one. I wonder, are we pitch count? You don't want to ask your guy to throw 120 pitches opening weekend, but are we?
I think he's probably about 80, 85.
Okay. That'd be
good. Get your guys some work opening weekend as well. See what you guys give guys opportunities to pitch in a ballpark like this, but also prepare them for this is the SEC ballpark almost, right? They're not going to sell it out, but this is going to be kind of what you're dealing with. And then postseason baseball, it's going to be like that too. But I mean, we'll touch on, at least I will, the other games, the non-SEC. Clemson, Oklahoma State, I think is going to be an incredible game, Chris. I don't even know who's going to
win. It's a heck of a way to get it going. Yeah.
Yeah. I would lean Clemson, I'd say like a one-run game. I think Clemson sweeps, though, if they win that, because I think they beat Arizona, and then I think they beat Ole Miss, like I said. Arizona, I think, is a good ball club. I think they go probably 2-1, 1-2. But like I said, I think that's so good that they have a good balance of teams from, the country, but also
little West Coast, little Southeast, ACC.
Yeah, but you have just teams that anyone could beat anyone. It's also opening week, and anything can happen, Chris. We know that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. Again, you got some really high caliber clubs in this. A lot of these teams, most of these teams, I think, could make a case for Omaha. It's going to be high intensity all weekend. And again, don't forget, we will be there. We will be there for all of these games this weekend. Looking forward to getting out to Arlington, Texas. It is going to be an absolute electric factory. All the Texas fans, Ole Miss fans, heck, I guess anybody else that tunes in as well. If you're any other fan base, can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hang out with you. It's going to be a great time. Harrison, let's jump into another tournament. Again, the other two are not nearly as high profile. We won't spend as much time on them. But we do have two other tournaments kicking us off the opening weekend. How about the MLB Desert Invitational? The Vandy boys will be out there. The field, Vandy, Austin, PA, Grand Canyon, Nebraska, New Mexico, San Diego State, Seton Hall, and UC Irvine. So a little bit random, quite a mix. The schedule, which I'm just going to highlight Vandy's schedule here this weekend. There were a lot of games being played. Friday, we've got Vandy taking on Grand Canyon. That's at 8 Eastern time, first pitch. J.D. Thompson will get the baseball for the Vandy boys. Saturday, how about this one? Vandy, Nebraska. Sneaky good game.
In the desert, too.
In the desert. Nebraska has done a lot in the portal. Could be a factor in the Big Ten. That's an 8 Eastern first pitch. Ethan McIlvain gets the ball for Vandy. And then Sunday, the Commodores will take on UC Irvine. And if you're like me and you've watched college baseball for a while, that's a traditional, that's a traditional solid club. We'll see this year. 2:00 Eastern time, first pitch. Starting pitcher for Vandy, Cody Balker. Harrison, we've talked about Vanderbilt in the preseason. I'm not all that high on them. This is a program that it's crazy to see where they're being picked. and the expectations? Because, I mean, dude, they've won national titles. Tim Corbin, again, one of the best in the business. Your thoughts on Vanderbilt going in this tournament? Just like, I think this weekend is more about, I mean, you'd like to come out of it 2-1. You'd love to come out of it 3-0. But I think it's more like, how does Vandy look? You know, that we know they're going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to pitch. I'd expect them to pitch pretty well. What's the hitting look like? What do the sticks look like? What do some of the new guys? They've actually embraced Puerto a little bit. What do some of the new guys look like? Is the offense able to get off to a hot start? Does the pitching carry them this weekend? I will be fascinating to see. Again, I know this isn't appointment TV viewing for most, but I'll be very curious to be keeping an eye on the Vandy boys and just see how they come out of this weekend.
Yeah, Chris. And I think another big question this weekend for Vanderbilt is, does the Vandy whistle travel further in the desert? I say it does. I tell
you this: if he's out there, I mad respect to the Vandy Whistler if he's out there. That's a heck of a trip from Nashville.
Yeah, I think so. That'd be an awesome experience too. I mean, if I'm a Vandy fan, I'd love to go experience that as well. But in regards to the Vandy boys on the field, I think for me, it's the question marks around the hitting in the lineup, the struggles they've had recently with that. I know they've embraced the portal a little bit, more this season than others, but then you have, Chris Maldonado, who struggled last season and limited, 20 plate appearances, batting 156, 150, whatever it was. And I mean, then you have Brody Johnson, who's expected to be out as well for a little bit of time being. He's missed an opening weekend, but then you have Mike Mancini, the JMU transfer, who absolutely smashed the ball at JMU. I mean, batting 330 with 50 RBIs and 15 home runs. I mean, he's expected to, I think, miss. Chris, is that still correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So you're missing two of your three biggest bats. I know Brody Johnson is a freshman. I projected him to be probably top 2 SEC freshman of the year kind of candidate caliber guy. But that's the thing that puts a lot more pressure on guys to step up behind him, but also the pitching. And I mean, I think J.D. Thompson's a stud on the mound. I mean, the junior lefty went 5-2 with a 4.15 ERA in 12 starts. I mean, 74-18 strikeout to walk ratio in 52 innings. I mean, that's elite stuff. And we know Vandy's known for the pitching, but Ethan McElvin, a sophomore, a lot of growing pains last season. I think he absolutely did a fantastic job as a freshman with a 3.24 ERA, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And I want to say 2-1, Chris, but just with all the concerns I have in the lineup and the injuries, I got to say 1-2 as well. I think they beat Grand Canyon and they sneak by on a really, really good J.D. Thompson start, but I think they lose a close one to Nebraska and UC Irvine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got Vandy 1-2 as well, Harrison. This is a big weekend too, I think, because in my mind, I can't help but think, like, is the shine starting to wear off Vandy baseball a little bit? Is that crazy for me to say? Like, they're not even the best team in their own state anymore, and like, it's a big year. We've talked about it a lot. I won't beat a dead horse. It's a big year for Vanderbilt to prove that what I'm saying is completely false and that the Vandy boys are still for real. They're still out here. They still should be taking – who knows? Maybe they finish top 5 in the SEC and we're like, man, we really should have given more love and respect to Vanderbilt. But I just don't know if, like, the way they play the game works at a high level anymore. Like, they have part of the recipe. They have part of the sauce, power pitching. They have that.
Yeah.
You need to have power bats, though. Like, you have to have some power hitting. And I think this weekend's actually pretty important for Vanderbilt. You want to get off to a good start, man. It's God, if you're going 1-, with all due respect to who they're playing, if you're going 1-2, and certainly if you're going 0-3, Harrison, it's only going to get tougher. It's not going to get any easier. So you'd like to get off to a good start. You may have to lean on your pitching this weekend. I wouldn't doubt it, but I got them 1-2 also. I think that's fair.
You talk about the style of play. It's more old school, hard-nosed baseball. Get on, get them over, get them in, and then power pitching. Outside of Trey Mancini or Mike Mancini, not Trey Mancini, Mike Mancini, the transfer who's not playing this weekend. Of the last year's production, no one has more than 10 home runs.
Yeah.
In the lineup. And 2 guys last year had more than 40 RBIs. That's just not going to get done in this style game that the SEC and college baseball as a whole is. It's doubles and home runs and power pitching. Mm-hmm. And I really hope Vanderbilt gets back to, being a dominant program, which they can do that on both sides of the ball, but just right now it doesn't seem like that going into the season.
Once again, the MLB Desert Invitational taking place in Scottsdale, Arizona. By the way, Harrison, I was going to say, too, the 3 teams they're playing going to be fired up to try to take down an SEC team. That's still a big feather in the cap.
And that's in Grand Canyon's backyard, GCU.
Right in Grand Canyon's
They are
backyard.
always in the postseason, playing Arizona in like a Tucson regional.
Good program.
They're not
really
afraid.
Good program. Yeah, really good program. They'll be excited at the opportunity, certainly. One more tournament, Harrison. This one, you talk about flying under the radar, buddy. How about the Puerto Rico Challenge? Our friends over at Mizzou are in the Puerto Rico Challenge. And some interesting, this is a wild field, man.
Crazy.
You got Mizzou, Virginia, Michigan, UConn, Penn State, Rice, Villanova, Stetson. I'll run through Mizzou's schedule here. Again, a lot of games, a busy, busy weekend. On Friday, Mizzou will take on Penn State at 4 o'clock Eastern. Saturday, the Tigers face UConn, really good club. Some people have got them low-key in their Omaha 8. 4 o'clock Eastern first pitch, and then Sunday, Mizzou and Stetson, which is a good program, 1 o'clock Eastern. Harrison, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. Carrick Jackson, we understand the challenge, toughest job in the SEC, there is no question. They'll be happy to get to some warm weather, that's for sure, and the reason they're heading down there. What are we looking to see from Mizzou this weekend? I think overall, just how do they compete with, I think, some pretty solid clubs. I think a 1-2 weekend, Harrison, would actually be a pretty good weekend with who they're playing. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know a bunch about Penn State baseball. I really don't. But it won't surprise me if they go 0-3. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, though, and say 1-2. I think opening weekend across the board is going to be really competitive. Virginia is going to win this tournament, right? There's no question they're going to win the tournament. But I'll be curious how Mizzou fares in this.
I was about to say, Chris, I think they got the easier slate.
Yeah, if they didn't get Virginia, they avoided them.
You didn't get Virginia. You did get UConn, but you didn't get Michigan, who isn't bad. But Stetson's not bad at all either. But weird field, like you said, especially, all these teams just kind of from all over playing in Puerto Rico, of all places. Super cool experience for the players.
Again, it'll be warm. Thank goodness it'll be warm because I know it's cold as hell in Como.
I would absolutely go to that, get to go see your team play in Puerto Rico, get to experience a little Puerto Rican culture. Why not? Get some good Puerto Rican food. But, I think I think UVA is going to run away with this, obviously. I think, and I hope Rice has a really good showing. Outside of that, I don't really know what's going to happen because I think UConn will do a really solid job. I think they're really, really strong mid-major again this year. They're a veteran lineup, and I think it's going to give Missouri a lot of struggles. I think UConn potentially blows them out on Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see. And, a really, like you said, good way to start your season playing in Puerto Rico, a little warm weather. So it's hard to complain with that.
Harrison, what does the rotation look like for Mizzou without your starter, your ace, I should say, that's out for the season due to injury? Again, it only gets tougher for Carrick Jackson and company. So, again, Penn State, UConn, Stetson in that 3-game set, a tournament that certainly is going to fly under the radar.
I guess, Brock Lucas maybe will start.
It's going to be interesting, and we know it's an uphill climb for Mizzou. All right, we're going to get to the rest of the slate. Wanted to highlight those tournaments first, guys. Before we do, want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, of course, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers can get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and up and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. And yes, for those asking, I am staying on FanDuel's case about getting more college baseball gambling lines up. Literally had a conversation with him yesterday. I said, hey, guys, what are we doing? So I'm staying on top of it. I promise. We will get there. All right. The rest of the opening weekend slate, Harrison, it's a lot of duds. It's a lot. I mean, with all due respect to these teams, it's a lot of just your basic ho-hum, non-conference. Everybody's expecting to at minimum go 2-1 or 3-0, or if you play 4 games, 3-1, 4-0, what have you. I'll run through the slate really quickly here, and then we can just kind of talk about what we're most excited to see, if anything jumps out, players, coaches, teams, etc., storylines we're most excited to see play out into the opening weekend. So the weekend slate looks like this. We've got Georgia and Quinnipiac. Is it Quinnipiac? Is that Quinnipiac? Quinnipiac, maybe. Either way, Georgia, and by the way, Georgia, I should have highlighted, they are in that UNC Wilmington tournament. So that's my bad. Georgia is in that. I forgot one of the tournaments. So Georgia playing up in Wilmington. So they're not playing Quinnipiac all weekend long. They've got them Friday and Saturday. They've also got UNC Wilmington. Are they playing a doubleheader Saturday? How about that? And then Sunday, taking on UNC Wilmington as well. So they'll play UNCW twice, Quinnipiac twice in that UNCW. Another just random tournament. Anyways, we got Mississippi State, Manhattan, LSU, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Kentucky, Lipscomb, which that is also at Ken Druger Field in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know if that's a tournament or if that's what that is. Either way, South Carolina, Sacred Heart, Arkansas, Washington State, which we already know rain delay or rain outs have caused that to be a doubleheader on opening day for them. Tennessee and Hofstra as they begin their quest for back-to-back titles. Bama and Bradley, Oklahoma, Lehigh, Florida, Air Force, Texas A&M takes on Elon, and finally Auburn and Holy Cross. So a lot of electric matchups across the board. Harrison, I'll simply just ask you this. You hear the schedule. We kind of know what to expect from the standpoint. Non-conference play is going to be a lot of tinkering with lineups, a lot of putting guys in different situations, figuring out what you have. Who's your best 9? Who are your best arms before you get to SEC play? Anything jump out to you? What do you now that we're finally here, what are you most excited to see play out on opening weekend?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see, I think, the arms, see how ready they are and how elite the stuff is. And, we've seen the hype from it. We've talked about it preseason, a lot of fall reports and whatnot, but just see how it really plays, to open the gates of the season, Chris. But I think for me, the most interesting matchups, best of the rest, I think is Kentucky traveling to Lipscomb on the road to open the season. That's a little odd. I don't know how, Mingione agreed to that versus playing, somewhere else or whatever they did with the schedule. I think it's a little interesting. I think, a lot of the weather's going to be implementing games this weekend. Especially Tennessee, the defending national champions. Obviously, they'll have some pregame celebrations kind of honoring of winning the national championship before the game. But, I mean, just how their schedule is going to work out, because it's supposed to pour all weekend there. And I'm expected to be there Saturday. Now, depending on the weather, we'll kind of figure that out. But hoping to get there at least for one game. But I think that, and then a sleeper, Chris, Air Force at Florida. We know how Florida likes midweeks and, non-SEC teams. So interested to see how that kind of plays out. The Air Force will be buttoned up. So I want to see, just Florida take care of business as well as the rest of the teams that are we're here talking about. But I think Florida especially, I mean, we know they're going to mash the ball. I want to see it more so on the pitching side, but excited to see all these teams, take care of business, because that's what I think the SEC does in non-conference play, Chris.
Harrison, to your point about Kentucky, you mentioned them. I thought maybe that was a tournament that I had glossed over. No, they're just playing a 3-game set at Lipscomb, which, by the way, you might recall last year, and the only reason I remember this is because I went to the Sunday game. Harrison, you might recall, they opened the season last year playing a 3-game set at USC Upstate. So I don't know what the deal is, why Kentucky likes going on the road to these play. I mean, it's interesting. It's different. I wouldn't expect an SEC team to go to USC Upstate or Lipscomb for a weekend series, but sure enough, here we are. Yeah, I mean, listen, you look at opening weekend, I expect all these teams to handle their business. We're not going to go out here and, pick the upset in one of these non-conference series. I will be really surprised if the teams I mentioned don't handle their business, but certainly there's big-time storylines. I mean, you mentioned the Florida Gators, Harrison, a program that I'm high on, a team I'm high on. Talking to folks down there in Gainesville, they're really excited about the 1 through 9. They've got sticks on sticks on sticks. I mean, they're as deep as they've been when it comes to the lineup. Liam Peterson's first start of the season. I think the pitching staff is going to be the big question for them. So you're right, seeing where the arms are. Do we see some Aiden King this weekend as the young freshman for them? They are super high on him. Don't be surprised. Remember that name, Aiden King for Florida, because there's a chance in a few weeks he might be in the weekend rotation. Like, his stuff is that good. They told me he is Brandon Neely with better shit, end quote. So, I mean, and Brandon Neely was pretty
He's a workhorse too.
Yeah, so it's they're excited about him. Obviously, Tennessee beginning the quest for back-to-back national championships. You're right, Harrison. We saw the videos of the rings this week. Going to be a really emotional Friday, a really emotional opening day, unlike anything they've ever experienced. Obviously going to handle their business, fully expect it, but high emotions at Lindsey Nelson. We've got some upgrades at Lindsey Nelson we'll get a look at. But, it's the start of Tennessee. I think it's a big non-conference slate for them, just figuring out, okay, no more Blake Burke, no more Christian Moore, no more Drew Beam. Who are the next heroes? Who are those next guys in line that are going to step in and be those dudes we can depend on? LSU taking the field, I'm really stoked to see them. I think, again, one of the deepest teams in the SEC and a team that has a realistic shot to not just get to Omaha but win the national championship. They want to bounce back from what they feel and get off to a better start. I think LSU, even though it was specifically in conference play, I still think, Harrison, that 3-12 start to SEC play last year is kind of a sour taste for them. So I think just – and talking to LSU folks, after starting 3-12 and the way it went down, they kind of want to take out some take some stuff out on some non-conference. They can beat up on some people. I think they're going to want to do that. I think you'll probably see that against Purdue, Fort Wayne. Outside of that, man, I mean, looking at the rest of the slate, South Carolina is intriguing to me just because of the Eli Jersenbeck factor. We've talked about that off the air. How do they use him? Does he pitch? He's not in their weekend rotation to open the season. What does that mean for them? How big of a factor is he going to be in that because I think if he's not, it's going to be really tough sledding for them. Also, we get a look at Ethan Petrie, which is always fun when you get a look at one of the best sluggers in the SEC. I think the overarching theme here, because I could just go on and on and on, Harrison, and I'm not going to overdo it, if you will. But the overarching theme and what I'm excited to see on opening weekend is just for all these coaches, all these teams, this is the start of, again, figuring out, okay, who's our best nine? Who are our guys we can depend on? Because most of these SEC teams, at minimum until the end of this month, you don't have like a big notable, non-conference week. There are some notable midweeks like right out of the gate. I mean, we'll talk about that next week. There's some very notable midweeks out the gate, but you don't have like big notable weekend series, at least probably till the end of the month. So this is the time to figure out. And you're going to see some different lineups, probably from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to see different dudes coming out of the bullpen, guys getting opportunities to flash. And some of these young freshmen, these transfer guys, we're going to see a lot of new veteran bats, if you will. It's a time for coaches and these teams to figure out what they've got and, try to put it all together before SEC play comes around. But, yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I mean, really, Harrison, too, the big storyline is just the excitement of opening weekend. Like, opening day never gets old, man. It's that thing. We feel it from every level, Harrison. High school ball, college ball, and all levels of college ball. The majors, like, man, opening day is so special. I'm just so excited to take it in. Emotions are going to be running high. And, first opportunity to make your mark on the 2025 season. And, the road to Omaha officially beginning, man. It's going to be electric. So many great stories, so many great players in this league, great coaches. The fans are what make SEC baseball so special. And, man, I'm excited. I'm just excited to get a look.
Venues too, Chris. But speaking of the venues and opening day, what is your go-to meal at a ballpark for opening day?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be at a ballpark. You got to get a dog, man.
You a glizzy guy?
A dog or a brat. I used to, for opening day, I used to at home cook hot dogs and brats, and that was kind of I think I'll have my seeds on hand. I'll be about full of seeds by the end of the night. So, yeah, I'm a big I'm a glizzy gobbler on opening day. Yeah, bit of a glizzy gobbler on opening day.
I'm just hoping to see a Chris Phillips first pitch somewhere.
I can't make any promises on that. We'll try to figure that out. But the other one I want to highlight too, I didn't even mention him, Harrison. Finally, Arkansas, Washington State. I mean, I guess that's a pretty notable opponent. They're playing a doubleheader on opening day. And I believe this is a series, Harrison. They're playing 2 on Friday, one on Sunday, one on Monday.
That's weird.
And then they don't have a midweek. So
that I don't like that. That's weird.
Hey, LSU's done that before from the standpoint they've played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get these 4 games. Yeah, but I mean, dude, and transfers has always been a thing. But I mean, I think a big storyline of the opening weekend is just so many new faces across the conference, man. So many transfer guys that, again, are maybe unknowns to a lot of people that become that'll become stars. And by the way, we have to spend some time, Harrison, also talking about opening weekend, Texas A&M. They begin their quest. It's Elon. And Elon's a proud program now. Elon's a solid program. But we obviously fully expect them to handle their business. But just excited, man, Harrison. It's a different vibe to have the pressure of the target on your back. Michael Early's first game. It's going to be an exciting weekend at Bluebell. That place is going to be a madhouse. Elon's going to be like, all this for us, man. Like it's going to be a really, really fun scene at Bluebell. Hey, Bubbles are back. Ball 5 is back. So many great traditions there and across the SEC.
Yeah, Chris, I think the traditions are what make, SEC baseball so great because of the fans. Because without the fans, there wouldn't be tradition. But the fans and the environment, the stadiums, it's so exciting that opening day is back and it's here tomorrow, and we get to experience it and watch it and, get to go see some of these venues this year. I'm excited for that and just immerse in the culture, the tradition, every aspect of it, Chris. So I'm gonna have to do a makeshift meal for opening day tomorrow. I'll have to do some hot dog, get some mustard, get some ketchup on there. Got my Chinook seeds ready for the game tomorrow. Flavor that we're tasting, TBD, just like some of these starting pitchers are TBD for teams. We'll have to. That'll be a game time decision, I think. See who's.
Yeah, I'm going to be all over the place when it comes to flavors. I'll probably pack one of each and go from there. But yeah, again, guys, we're going to be in Arlington, Texas. I will be there at the event all weekend long. Getting in town tomorrow around 10:15 local time. So I should make it for the first game. Going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited, looking forward to it. Just so excited to have
ballpark tour.
Little ballpark tour. It's happening. It's starting. But just so excited, Harrison, to go through this season with you and for baseball to be back. And we got a comment from a Tennessee fan. Yes, I'm going to at some point, starting today, I'm going to remember that Dylan Dreiling is not there anymore. That name just rolls off the tongue. I've been saying that like he's still there, and it's like he got drafted. So I understand he's not there. I get it. I apologize. The slip. A lot of names going through this noggin. Sometimes I'm going to probably utter one that makes no sense, but you get the gist.
Chris, question for you. How many of these non-tournament games do we see shutouts in? So Georgia, Mississippi State, LSU, Kentucky.
Shutouts in the standpoint of like pitching shutouts or 3-0
pitching shutouts,
sweep?
yeah. Arkansas.
We'll probably see a few.
Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida.
Yeah, I think we'll. I will say though, in today's college baseball, it's so rare to get that. So
Chris, so there's 12, right? There's 12 of these non-tournament games in the SEC. I'm gonna say 3.
Okay, I think that's a fair number. Yeah, I'll go 2. I'll go 1 less than you. My question to you here: we're not going to predict it, but it's going to happen. There's going to be an SEC team that loses on opening day, and I don't wish that upon anybody, but. It's baseball, bro. We know it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
it is. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to lose.
Especially, right? Because you have, Texas playing Louisville. You have Vanderbilt playing Grand Canyon.
Well, I'll even say outside of the tournaments. I'll say outside of the tournaments. So, there's going to be an upset.
Who would you say the most likely to have that happen to them, or is the best opponent of the non-tournaments?
See, now you're really putting me on the spot.
I was waiting for this one.
Yeah. Who is it most likely to happen to? Oh, man. Because you look at it, I'm like, I think they're all going to win.
I know who you want to say, but I know you're not going to say it.
I mean, you mentioned Air Force is a really good opponent, a solid opponent. They're typically in the postseason. If Liam Peterson's squirrely on opening day, like they absolutely could lose. It's just I look at the teams with like the unknowns in their ace spot. The unknowns with the aces, like Pico Khan at Mississippi State. Like maybe he doesn't throw well. You know what I mean? Like Maybe they have to win a game 15-12 on opening day. I don't know. I don't think Kentucky's going to lose at Lipscomb. I mean, they might. They could. They could. The mighty Ken Dugan Field, man. That's
Chris,
a tough place to play.
We might have to do some research on this and drop a little fun pick online on X and social.
Listen, I'm not wishing for it to happen. None of us obviously hope it happens, but this game's a crazy game. That's one of the reasons we love it. It's one of the reasons we love it. So, anyways, Harrison, really good stuff, man. Electric. I'm so excited for opening day. So excited for opening weekend. It's going to be awesome. Let's get to a few questions here. I don't want to skip over these. Let's get to a few questions. I'm going to go back up here. Our friend Chinook Seeds are all over the place, all over the comments. Our friend Micah chimed in. Apparently, you missed a call, Harrison. Or he missed a call.
I called him, yeah.
You called him. Okay. Talk a little SEC, ACC, little clash. Shout out to Micah, man. Good people. We'll see you.
More so for some research purposes for next weekend.
Got you. Okay. Chinook says, what's the first bag you open for the first game? That is such a good question. First bag of the season. I think I got to go I'm a barbecue guy at heart. I think I have to go barbecue.
I was about to say barbecue at heart, but I think Hatch Chili is the front runner right now.
Okay. All right.
I think you got to lay some, with a minus line for Hatch Chili. I don't know. I can promise you though, it's not going to be original and it's not going to be dill pickle.
And the OG's not bad, but yeah, that's your very Is that the one that's like at the bottom of the box? It's like you haven't touched those yet. You're like, all right, well, I have these, so they're good. They're good. They're just.
When I have nothing in a ballpark growing up, right? And someone had some, it's like, it's better than nothing. But
yeah. I mean, it's like, listen, and you can't be upset about that pick or that statement because when you make so many good flavors, I mean,
exactly,
original's going to fall at the bottom. Exactly. It is. I'm probably going to save cinnamon toast crunch or whatever for like a late night guilty.
I'm a huge cinnamon stand. I don't know how you do it with seeds or what it's going to taste like, but I will try it. I can promise you that.
Dude, it's awesome. It's like candy, man. It's great. Okay, let's see. We're going through your questions. Chinook says Jay Johnson at LSU will easily roll out the most lineups, especially to start the season. Well, I think too because how deep they are. I mean, they're loaded, man. They're loaded. So yeah, I fully expect you. And you've got Derek Curiel in the lineup too, the freshman. But they've got a bunch of guys in there they're really excited about. So yeah, I will not be surprised here when we see a few lineups from LSU this weekend. Let's see. Chinook sends us so many questions that
I think we'll get. I don't know if we'll get 3 different lineups, and then we'll get 2 though from LSU. I'll say that.
Yeah. Chinook, a lot of DHs coming with this one. Yeah. It's the weather's going to be interesting. That's certainly a storyline. We've already got double headers. So, how about Bo saying, "Whoop, gig 'em Aggies"? Going to be a fun weekend at Bluebell, man. Really excited to see how they. I mean, I think A&M's going to. They're going to have a hell of a weekend, I think. And again, Elon, a proud program, but they will not stand a chance against the number 1 team in the country. John, I got 500 on Clemson minus 115, and then 1,000 on Arizona State minus 195.
Big stepper.
Hey, listen, cheers, my friend. Best of luck. I hope all of your bets hit. I hope they all hit, especially
Chris, I think my favorite question of the chat, I think, is from Chinook Seedery. Which fan base, if their team struggles this weekend, will freak out the most?
Probably A&M. Because you're number 1, dude. You're number 1. I mean, which of them won't freak out is the better question. But I think if A&M were to be kind of sloppy.
I think Florida would freak out the least.
Yeah, because.
Vanderbilt.
Dude, another one. Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State would be kind of my dark horse for that because there's so much pressure on this season being a success. Bro, you go out there and like lose 2 or 3 to Manhattan at the dude.
Oh, even if you lose on opening day, though.
Yeah. Oh, but for sure.
Alex Box, I think the fans in Baton Rouge will have a fit. I mean, same in Baum Walker for Arkansas.
Yeah.
You can say it for. Imagine if the defending national champions lose on opening day. I don't think it'll happen. Not a chance, but
yeah, I don't see it either. But yeah, no, they would freak. They would freak. Yeah, for sure. Bo Molinari says, excited to see the Aggies bullpen, only real question mark on the entire team. Yeah, replacing Aschenbeck, replacing Cortez. Excited to see those new faces rolling out. But I fully expect with them, man. I will tell you this, Harrison. I'm excited to see what does the pitching staff look like post Max Wiener. That'll be kind of. I mean, they've got plenty of talent, but I mean, if we're going to give all this credit to Max Wiener's presence when it's no longer there, how much different is it?
Talk about the A&M pitching staff. You lose Evan Aschenbeck, stopper of the year last year, and you lose Chris Cortez, who had, I think, the filthiest stuff in college baseball last year. I mean, when I talked to scouts sitting in Hoover at the SEC tournament, I was sitting with MLB scouts, and they said, this is big league stuff that would play right now from Chris Cortez.
And who knows, he might be right in regards to
98 mile an hour sinkers and 90 mile an hour sliders. That is big league stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. So how do you replace? I mean, and Aschenbeck was a guy that you take those kind of guys for granted, Harrison. But man, it's what value it is to just have that stopper back there where it's like, well, we know we got 3 outs or 6 outs, or we know this guy's going to come in and show.
That's another thing, Chris. I think opening day is going to be really good for pitching coaches, but also head coaches. Is you're going to get opportunities for relievers to pitch twice probably in the weekend. See what kind of pairings go well. Like who's our 7th, 8th inning guy. Who's, a 8th inning guy, and then how is it transition well or a closer? Because a lot of teams, late in the season, especially, you have that, all right, this guy's coming up, then this guy's coming up, then our closer. Finding out that early is going to be, I think, really big key for teams to have great seasons and be successful, and for guys to get comfortable in roles before conference play rolls around, Chris.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be all about in non-conference play. Let's take 2 more, and then we'll get out of here. Bo Molinari, could Michael Early have the same level of success as Vitello at Tennessee? Can he? Yes. Is that asking a lot? I mean, the Vitello level of success is pretty damn significant. So, but the expectations will be there for that. They will. I mean, especially with this team. This team, I firmly believe, is Omaha or bust, which is fair, I think, with the talent they have. Could he? Sure. I mean, I think A&M is doing all the right things as a program, from the investment, the NIL, obviously. And I think Early's a good coach. Yeah, I mean, I think they could be one of those top tier programs, top 3, 4, programs in the SEC moving forward. I think absolutely. So
yeah, I expect it to happen. I mean, anything can happen, but I mean
it's just dude. I mean, it's like Early's a good coach, but the program, the program investment is what's going.
And he's starting with a much higher floor than Tony Vitello did at Tennessee.
Significantly higher floor. Last one from Zach. When y'all going to head to Austin for the SEC tour? Got to catch a game in the Yeti Yard. Yeah, we will be heading there later this spring. We're excited to get to Austin, Texas. It's 110% happening. 110% happening. When we're coming, we'll let you know. Obviously, we'll announce it, but it's going to be a good time. Yeah, we can't. You ain't going to twist my arm to get me back to Austin.
Trust me. And I mean, I've been to the Louvre, like I said, but I haven't been to Texas. That's changing this spring. You invite me to the Yeti Yard, you invite me to anywhere, occupy left field, I'll be there. Where we are welcomed, we will come in Austin, in other SEC venues as well, embracing and enjoying the full experience that is each school, the fans, the traditions, the stadiums, and of course the baseball, Chris, because that's why we're there.
Yeah, speaking of occupy left field, going to link up with those guys this weekend. It's going to be a great time. Again, all the great fan bases. Get to the damn ballpark. Go support the boys. Drink yourself a cold one. Get you some Chinook seeds. By the way, promo code SECU to get 10% off. Get you some Chinook seeds. Have you a dog. Have you a glizzy or whatever food of choice. And let's go enjoy the first weekend at the ballpark, man. It's going to be electric, Harrison. Again, like I said, I'm so stoked. We finally made it. We get to see some baseball on the field, and we'll have tons to react to on Monday, man. It's going to be a great time.
One more sleep, Chris, till college baseball's back. Let's go.
One more sleep.
Let's ride.
One more sleep. Appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Thank you all so much. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast where you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And again, make sure you tune in. This is the WINDUP, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show, Mondays and Thursdays. The show airing right around noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, depending on what time Harrison wants to show up. Nah, I'm kidding. Love you, Harrison. It's all good. Anyways, y'all, appreciate you all tuning in. Enjoy opening day. Get out to the ballpark. Have a great opening weekend, and we will talk to y'all all on Monday.